back a little bit.
All right, David, start talking a little bit. You said we met in 2000.
Yeah, we met in 2014 at Contact in the desert, and I was really interested in the ufology, and I wanted to learn more about it. And I attended Paula's lecture, and that's where I met her, and I got to talk to her about a few of her books. I liked her message. She was very sincere, very honest, and yeah, that's where it all began. After that, we stayed in contact, and she was working with Tom, and she needed another person to help her in the field. And I like the way Paula says, boots on the ground, because she does real research. She just doesn't interview people. She interviews them at the site of wherever it happened, and collects all the evidence and so forth. So Paula is the real deal here, and we became friends. And I started doing work with Tom and Paula back then. A little bit about my background. I live in Northern California. I've been married for 30 years. I have two daughters. I'm an avid meditator. I've been meditating for about 16 years now. I do transcendental meditation. I like to raise my consciousness and my vibration. And we've had a lot of great communications with crafts, and with Tom and Paul. And you'll hear more about these stories a little bit later. But no, it's a very interesting field that I'm always learning new things every day. And I do research, I do my own research, and Tom, Paul, and I are going to be getting together for some new endeavors in the near future. So, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Paula, for having me here.
Yeah, you did with me. You did the Trinity case, which meant Tom and you and I went to Roswell. I don't know how many
Yes,
times you were in twice. You've been in Roswell, right? With me.
right, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and
Where we interviewed Sergeant Clifford Stone, and we've been to his house.
we
And
met
yeah,
Clifford Stone, went to his house, and let's see. Well, and what we're talking about tonight is giant rock situation. Then I began sending them all kinds of books. By the way, I'm reading a book by Gerard Arston on Adamski right now called Undaunted that everybody
mm,
should buy. You guys, if to add to your, it just came out this year. So to add to the library you already had. And David, you had a series, yeah, Menger, this, you read a lot. You read a lot before you went to Giant Rock, which means you have to
right.
prepare for a story. And Tom, I met you at my birthday party in Arizona, I think, and tell me, tell the group, you
It
know,
was. Paula had come down actually to speak at Phoenix MUFON, and I'm going to just say 2005, but it was her birthday in early May, and we just struck a chord. I mean, there was just something there, and I was just intensely fascinated with her subject matter. I had only recently begun to attend the Phoenix MUFON meetings. I uh, I got an interest in this from watching shows on cable TV about UFOs and ancient aliens and all of that. And I eventually started found the Phoenix MUFON meetings and went to them, met Paula. And then over time, we just started working on various cases. I worked with her as an assistant and on a couple of different countries. We had some fun experiences. I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona for 25 years, Denver, Colorado, and I now live in Roswell, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, and we are nothing like the Roswell in New Mexico, but it's always fun to tell people I live in Roswell. So
okay, you've done with me, you've done the Trinity case. And you did it for many years with me. And you were the one that pulled up the poisonous plants. If you know, when I talk about Trinity, that they had planted on the area, poisonous plants, and Tom had a reaction to them. He pulled them up and had a reaction. So he was with me in Trinity. He was with me in Canada to interview the brother's transgendered sister of Sisto Paswell's, because I had interviewed Sixto, because after the ETs didn't come back to Southern California, they went to the Chilca Desert in Peru. This would be interesting for you, Tamako, to know this. They went to Peru, so we had to follow the path of where the Space Brothers went. And so Tom had to interview. I mean, the contactee, the main contactee, the father of contact is Sisto Paswell's, and it was the Chilca Desert, and it was 200 people, and the Space Brothers did come off walking off. In fact, I have a picture of a Zendra, you guys, so you can see it, did come off the ship to talk to people. So he was with me in Canada. And then in 2014, he was also with me in Giant Rock. So, and then we drove across the country all the time for different stories. It's really important to have other people with you, but then also the traveling with Tom was a lot by car. So, because you can't always jump on an airplane and go, it's very, very expensive. So I'm going to go and share the screen. Tom, is there anything else you'd like to say? You're still interested in this, but you kind of evolved into the consciousness aspect, haven't you?
Yeah, I've always been interested in consciousness, reality, awareness, spirituality. I've made a great study of that over time, and near-death experiences. I've had some personal experience with that over the years, and so I love consciousness. I love those things which are just at the edge of our awareness. I love pursuing those things and finding out what is real.
Okay, now, so it's really great to have a tribe, what we call a tribe. So David and Tom are my tribe, and I can talk about these kinds of things. And luckily, they know that contact started after the atomic bomb. And you guys, I'm going to do a share screen so that I can show everybody. Anyway, this particular thing belongs to Giant Rock. But guys, I want you to recognize this area. I'm going to show you. So, do you recognize where we are?
Oh, yes.
New Mexico.
Yeah, where?
Socorro.
Yeah, and what's over there? What's over here?
That is the well, Tom, you want to take a guess? I'll let you go first.
that was the site of the incident that happened that involved Jose.
And what happened over here?
That was the original Roswell. Yeah, that's the original Roswell crash back in 19.
No, that is the bomb, the atomic bomb.
Oh, the Trinity. Okay, Trinity. Okay.
Where Trinity?
I couldn't tell from the aerial photo.
Yeah, this is the arroyo that everybody thinks the pieces went in, right? Because this was water. So this is the arroyo that everybody thinks the pieces were washed in, and this is where the bomb. And Trinity is 1, 2, 3 mountains. That's why Oppenheimer called it Trinity. So this is the crash site that we worked on for so many years. And I had Ruben Langdon do a drone aerial view. And so you should, this is one, let's see here.
Right Great footage.
And this is great for, and this is the cattle guard. When you first come in, remember? The
Mhm.
cattle guard.
That's the one the military had to change to make room for the truck to pull the egg-shaped craft off, right?
The road you saw is the road the Army made. The Army made this road because this was the other road was the old road. So this is the Trinity crash site. So it's like incredible, incredible footage. Let's see. Stop share screen. This is the one. I'm going to do the other because let's see. Share screen. Um, this is it's finishing. I don't know. This and this one. Oh, here we go. This is the other one. And there's the car. This is where we always park, right? That's the car. That and over there was the crash site, but this goes even farther. It's over there was the crash site. There's the cars along the highway. That's I-25. See, and then see how close to I-25 the crash site is. He'll come back down again. And the boys were looking at the crash from the hill, and he should come into the crash site, which. So anyway, I have this as part of Trinity, which everybody should really read the book. And this is the area, and it's 13 miles from the atomic bomb. So down standing, but at least we have this area. This is Sapporo, New Mexico. So I wanted to show the guys that because they probably remember everything. You know, the whole story begins with Adamski, with George Adamski, and I showed you the book on Adamski, which is called Undaunted, that just came out. But George Adamski in 1953, this man, who had been trained in Tibet, by the way, so his lectures talk about Tibet. And it was at the time of when Yogananda's book came. And so in 1953, in November, in a place called Desert Center, which is near the Joshua Tree, George Adamski, and here I am at Desert Center, so I'm going to show you. My going to the spot where George Adamski met Orthon. So I'm walking towards, and if you've ever seen the pictures of the ship, and I'm walking towards that, and here's more of Desert Center. The pictures of George Adamski's ship are famous, and they're on the corner of this mountain. The ship is right here where I'm showing you. And this monument is where Orthon put his feet. I'm not doing a lecture on George Adamski today, but I have pictures of the plaster cast of Orthon's feet because Orthon came off the ship here and walked over here. What's interesting today, here's some more of that. Here's the plaster casts. Here's his footprint. So George Hunt Williamson could pour plaster on here to show that Orthon is real. And it started the contactee movement of that time. Here's some more. Here's another picture of me pointing to the shoes of Orthon. You can go there even today at Desert Center. And here's some more pictures of Desert Center. But what's amazing about it, because the ship was here, and Adamski was not alone. Adamski was with 5 people. So the idea that this started way back when is very, very important. What we have today that I wanted to show everybody is this photo. This is a brownie photo that was taken. There were 5 people there. This is these 2 photos, these 2 circles have been enlarged in the Netherlands by Renee Olsen. And the books on this, I'll show to you, so if you want to see it. But this year, for the first time, Renee Olsen was able to get a photo enlargement. This is not a drawing. This is orthon. This comes from those little circles. Renee Olsen is a genius. He went to the Adamski Society and he said, I'm able to see the person that was talking to Adamski. You know, I don't have the pictures of all the people with Adamski, but there were 5 people with him. So this is a historic photo. You could see the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the way that, what's his name, is this, no, this is not. This is not. The way that Adamski, I had a picture of Adamski with a drawing of orthon, but the fact that we have the real photo is really important, and it's historical. And Adamski with everybody else. And by the way, this is a commemorative book that came out on Giant Rock. This is CGI, but you can see Giant Rock before it was split. And you can see here all the people, because 33,000 people went there. By the way, David and Tom, I think you have this PDF of Giant Rock. And what's interesting about Giant Rock, and there was a picture of Romina coming down the hill, is that right next to this rock is a hill of quartz crystal. And quartz crystal is, as you know, an amplifier. And here's the early people at Giant Rock. This is a UFO over Giant Rock. This is a policeman. And there's pictures of early, what's his name? Here's all the people of early Robert Short, because this is on Robert Short. And here's George Adamski on the 20th of November, it was 1952 now, George Adamski, son of Polish immigrant, claimed to have met and had a conversation with a cosmonaut, landed UFO in the California desert, and you saw me there, though it was witnessed by 6 people, including George Hunt Williamson. That encounter and others equally sensational established Adamski as a world celebrity. He had meetings with Queen Juliana, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, and the famous meeting with Pope John the 23rd, who met an alien at Castel Gandolfo, who announced that Adamski was going to come. And when I met with Steckling, who represents Adamski, he showed me the medal that Pope John the 23rd had given him. Orfeo Angelucci. I went ahead and I researched this. This is another Giant Rock witness. Orfeo Angelucci lived in New Jersey and came to California and worked for Lockheed Martin. And I was interested in this because nobody had done this story. This is on my website. I'm going to send each and every one of you the links, because he met a space brother type person, along the Los Angeles River named Jupiter. And so here these people are having contacts. You've got George Van Tassel, you've got Orfeo Angelucci, and I did the research on that because I was really, really curious about him, especially where Van Tassel worked for Douglas Aircraft and he worked for Lockheed Martin. And it says here, near the Hyperion Boulevard, anybody near Glendale, 1951, he said a UFO looked like a large, misty looking oval. It set at night upon the ground, and then if you go on to Angelucci's contact experience, he said, let's see, he made his appearance at Giant Rock conventions began held every year in Landers. Angelucci was a man given to a wonderful sense of humor. He was able to convey to his listeners a good deal about his experiences with those from other worlds. He was perhaps only the third person to have claimed to have a close encounter during those years with a guy named Jupiter. So his book, he talks about the close encounter. Here's a photo of George Hunt Williamson, who took the plaster casts. He went on to be an excellent researcher, and he ended up in Latin America. Everybody ends up in Latin America. Here's all those guys from the old days. That this commemorative is just incredible. Just the photos of the people. Here's Wendell Stevens. These are the people. Here's Giant Rock with a little bit of design on it. What's interesting to me is, see this right here? This is inside the rock. This is where Van Tassel lived. There's regular living room. Here's some of the, it shows them inside the rock. There's inside the rock. It's split now, but and you can't really you really, there's nobody's living there the way they did in the old days. These photos from the commemorative, this is inside the rock. In fact, this is where Van Tassel and his wife and kids were sleeping when his contact landed on the landing strip and walked in and said to Van Tassel, "Do you want to see my ship?" And George Van Tassel walked out, and he was taken aboard the ship. This is the 1950s. People don't talk about this, but this is so important. These days were so important, and if I had known, I would have gone after everybody that lived during this time. Here, can you imagine that many people out there in Landers, California? Here's George Van Tassel speaking. This is Orfeo Angelucci. This commemorative is incredible. It's
Conventions went on for like 20 years. I mean, just
yeah.
to imagine what all the different conversations, discourse with
Yeah.
like-minded people and all their experiences. It just would have been awesome to attend. It's like some of the first contacts in the desert, right?
Yeah, that's why they call it Contact in the Desert, except it's I don't know, today I think it's more commercial. Well, maybe not. Here they are in those days. And I just love these photos, the commemorative photos of situations that very important. All the contactees coming together. 33,000 people look at this. This is amazing. Just this commemorative really gives you an idea of the people. Here's a great picture of Orfeo Angelucci and all the different Howard Menger right here talking to everybody. I went back to Highbridge, New Jersey to his house. Some of you people may know Howard Menger from Val Thor sitting in his house, which all the photos that August Roberts took and gave to Wendell Stevens. He was the last one that I went and researched, and George Filer was with us. I went with David Kalbatzer, and we just couldn't believe we were back in the 1950s and 60s. Here's the landing strip. Here's people. It's just, this commemorative really gives you an idea. And of course, in those days, they had the photos of the UFOs, just like Menger had movies of the UFOs. And it's near 29 Palms. There's Van Tassel, My Flight to Venus. Really interesting. Uh, it gives you a feeling of what the old days were. And when we looked at this is Van Tassel, and this was where they lived under the rock. So this is such a great, this is George Hunt Williamson, and this is Orfeo Angelucci, Interplanet. I love this Giant Rock Interplanetary Airport. Interplanetary. This is a policeman that had taken the picture of the UFO. We have pictures, thanks to David, of the UFOs over Giant Rock. So here's everybody that George Van Tassel wrote a book called The Council of Seven Lights. Here's Orfeo Angelucci speaking. There's you could see Adamski. These are Adamski photos here, by the way. The cylinder that came, and these are actual photos with a telescope. And there's Orthon. You saw the real Orthon. This was the depiction of Orthon with his shoes. And both Billy Meyer and George Adamski, they were both. Billy Meyer was trained in India, and George Adamski went to Tibet. But both of those guys talk about a spirituality that was given to them. Like it's very interesting. Their philosophy went on to a spiritual philosophy. This is the Integratron. By the way, this is an incredible picture. There's a guy on top of Giant Rock before it split. Giant Rock looks like this right now. And there's the Integratron. Now, I have photos of the Integratron because we were inside. Here's Van Tassel talking about how, with the Tesla coils around here, and the way there's not one nail in the Integratron, how this was built organically to be both a time machine, he said, and a regeneration chamber. Here's Adamski here too with him. But yeah, and Daniel Fry, who's a physicist. Here's Adamski with his ship. Here's Adamski with a depiction of Orthon, and you saw the real picture of Orthon. It's close. And here again is Giant Rock. It's a Adamski ship. The Integratron is a time machine and a regeneration. And Van Tassel died just as it was completed, and within a month they had taken the Tesla coils away. George Hunt Williamson. This gives you an idea of the early days, the early contactees. There were no Brays during this time. It was called the Space Brother Movement, because here's a very young picture of Desmond Leslie. I don't have the old picture of him with me in Italy, but Desmond Leslie co-authored Flying Saucers Have Landed. And I never thought in my life I'd meet him. And here he is with Colonel Corso, talking about the fact that George Adamski did not have a belly button. He did not have a navel. He had a sun with rays in the place of a navel, in the place of a navel. And of course, here he is talking at the restaurant with Colonel Corso over pizza. And I don't know who George Adamski is in 1998. I have no idea what's going on because I hadn't done my homework. I did not know about the early days. I did not know about these guys. It's worth going back, by the way, to the early days, because that's where all began. And it stopped and it became something else with the 1963 abduction of Betty and Barney Hill. There was no more Space Brothers. This is the what do you call it? The landing pad that what's his name? Van Tassel had that he had rented, so that the UFOs came down here just for him, his contacts. So here's this is Menger, oh, and this is Mel Noel, okay, and these are all the people from those days, or Fair and Giulici. So the day the earth stood still is very important. Here's the integrotron being built because Robert Short told me that Robert Wise knew about that. Everybody thinks it's the story of Val Thor, but it isn't. It's the story of the early days, because what the message was stop using nuclear and come together. There's 141 pages to this thing, and it's so important that you cover it, or that we cover it. The Space Brother movement stopped in the 1970s, and they went to, and this is a picture of Sisto PAOLA'S. I said that Tom and I had gone to see his brother because both Sisto and his brother had contact in Chilca Desert in Peru, and we needed to talk to them because they're still alive, about human type aliens. So this picture has Sisto PAOLA'S, Luis Fernando, who I met and brought to Laughlin, and Ricardo Gonzalez, all in one spot in Chilca. And here's the UFO over their head. Here in the picture, it's here. So the Space Brothers, and here's a depiction of Orthon speaking to Adamski, the Space Brothers themselves, these people who said they came from Venus, but I'm going to let you hear Robert talk about the fact that that's where they said they came from, so we would recognize it, and they call Earth something else. So it's very important that we have a reference. What I'd like to say is that if you want to get into it as much as we got into it, these are all the books that we read before we did this research. Here to help is a Dembski story. This is a friendship case in Italy in 1956, where the W-56s, and this is a photo of the alien, went to Pescara, Italy, and experimented with the humans to live together. So this is one book that's important. Then Michael Wolff had a human type alien. This is the face of his alien from Altair 4. This is Sarah. Everybody knows the Charles Hall case at Indian Springs. By the way, Charles Hall, he was only there 1 year with these people, 1965. So look at 1950s and 1960s. Elizabeth Clare, Beyond the Light Barrier, South Africa. She actually had a relationship with the man, very famous. I talk about this in my exopolitics classes. These books are the books of Adamski. Flying saucers have landed inside the spaceships. Of course, the best researcher of all is Timothy Good, Earth, an Alien Enterprise. Incredible. He has a Trinity case in there. This is Howard Menger's book, From Outer Space to You, and it's important to read his book. And Out of the Stars is Robert Short's book. So for people that, and this one is Maurizio Cavallo, which is no longer available. But all of these books about the early days, and Daniel Fry's book and Van Tassel's book is not even here, is so very important. These photos, this photo, for instance, comes out of Italy, and there's the being coming out of the ship. This is part of the friendship case. So, there's material, but it is not in the United States. You'd have to go look for it. And I think it's really important that we cover the 1950s and 60s because, and you can buy this book by Michelle Zerger. It's called Orthon's Footprints, and it talks exactly about the importance of the message that was given to Adamski. Here's and this other book, I think this is by, this is Desmond Leslie's. you saw that in Desert Center, these events are not ufology, it's history, really. So we can't be planning. This one here, Stranger in the Pentagon, was very important to us because we had read it. The movie had come out. We had gone to see the movie about the human type alien known as Val Thor. This book here starts a lot of important things. This is Michelle Zurger's We Are Here, Visitors Without Passports. It talks about aliens living among us. See, these people, Michelle Zurger lives in Tokyo, and he's French. So, I mean, these are not American products. They're not American researchers. I met Michelle Zurger finally when I went to Tokyo, and he's already talked about this and has documented evidence that the ETs are living among us. And, you know, and you'd have to talk to the researchers, just like this photo, Ortho, comes out of the Netherlands. It does out of Renee Olsen. So it's very, very important. Now, I wanted to introduce, I think I have it here. I want to introduce some of the video having to do with this whole situation from the original people. So let's see if I can get this going and then you can understand. I think it's very important. And there's so much of this online that you can, this talks.
And
then what happened? This is Robert Short talking.
You saw the craft and then what happened? Well, he came up to my car and I was like scared. I was really scared because I didn't know what, I didn't know what the hell.
What did he look like?
I think he stood about maybe 5'6".
Okay.
He had blonde hair.
You could see his hair?
Long hair, yeah, down his shoulders.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was in Joshua Tree. Yeah, it was 1978.
Okay.
I was walking along the roadway, and this ship showed up with like an orange ball of light.
Yeah.
Came up over the rise of this hill, and I was going, and I got scared. And it went off to the left, and it began to slow down, and pretty soon it was starting to come down.
When he says off to the left, this is not something you can create. This is something you're reliving. Okay.
So, yeah, that's when this all happened. This was my first physical contact.
Okay.
Anyway, and then pretty soon I'm standing there. What's going to happen next? And this being came up with arms to reach me, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I'm looking at somebody from another world. Oh my God.
And you were afraid.
No, but before he came up to me, when I saw this thing moving the hatchway, the ship, I knew something was going on.
And this is, can I just make an aside? This is in broad daylight. It's an actual man. This is not a monster. And we still have fear. So when people ask me about my Shasta contact, where you have contact and you have fear, and there's nothing to fear because they look like you.
That's right. They do.
You still have fear. There is still a.
When I did, I said, I better put my hand out to show him I'm friendly. Like that. He did something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. He put his hand where our heart is, and he went like this. Mm-hmm. Everything, everything that you're seeing, everything that you're experiencing is open to you. Don't be afraid. I could hear it. Don't be afraid.
He put his hand on his heart?
Put his hand where our heart would be.
Okay, where a heart would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flipped it out as I would say, don't be afraid. Everything is all right. You're okay. Right? And then he said when we'd come down to make an adjustment in the power of our craft, we will see you at a future time.
This is what I remember that he told me, that they had trouble with the craft.
So then he turns around and starts walking. I said, hey, wait a minute, don't leave me here. Don't leave me, please. Don't leave me, please.
And he went off.
I can still remember that.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway.
Okay, it's okay.
Hi.
Hi, I need to explain
This
something.
is
Okay,
all I have.
just shut the thing
This
down.
You folks have no idea what honey and cinnamon can do for your brain. I'm 82 years old, and just a few months ago, I could barely remember my.
Interviews. This is another one. It's on my YouTube channel, so it's so important because Robert has passed now.
Job to come out from behind this rise. And I was going, get on, run.
And you saw the footprints. Yeah, you said you didn't know if it was real until you went back and you saw his footprints.
Well, he came
Right.
up to where I was standing. I mean, I saw, and that's what happened. I got scared, really scared,
Yeah.
when this, what do you call it, hatchway opened up.
Uh-huh.
And I saw something move, and I thought, oh God, I know where I want to get out of here.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know, so
Yeah.
I was scared out of my gourd.
Well, you
So anyway,
get scared. I mean,
he
they all
walked
want
up
to
to
meet
within
aliens,
arms
but
of
then
reach
they
of me,
don't
you know.
realize if it happens,
See?
they
And he put his
terrifying.
hand where our heart would be and swept it out.
Like
Yeah.
to
He
show,
said,
to show
everything
you
that
he
you're
meant
seeing,
you no
everything's
harm.
happening. You
Yeah.
don't be frightened, don't be
Yeah.
scared. You're all right. And,
Mhm.
and then we turned around, so I went away, and I was going, hey, don't leave me here. What are you doing? Take me with you.
Mhm.
Well, I found out he did take me with him,
Ah.
but he couldn't let me know because he said, we found out something rather unfortunately about you. He said, you're somewhat of a blabbermouth.
Okay.
Things happen and you'll immediately want to go and tell somebody about it.
What you do is in the chat, I'm going to give you these links in the chat. If I can find the chat, here's the links to all the Robert Short, because this whole thing is on Robert Short videos, so you can, because he's the one that told me that here's the links. He's the one that told me that he knew Robert Wise made the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still around these contacts that Van Tassel and he had. So what did we do? And this and Tom and David, you can make some comments about this. We in 2014 we decided we were going to take Robert and Shirley Short back to Giant Rock. And Robert had a problem with his esophagus. I think he said it was cancer. And he hadn't done a channeling in almost 10 years. And so here's some of the photography of our taking him back. We went back with a group, and what we wanted to do was film him. Film him. Let's see, open as he was channeling Corton. Now, in those days, these guys, this is all the guys you saw in the picture book. A lot of them did what's called channeling, but it wasn't like the channeling of today, like Bashar. At that time, Robert told me, this is Robert, that you could, with crystal radio, talk to them. They would say, the way he did the channeling was, Adai, the transmission coming through. So it isn't, it sounded like a radio. They asked him to use his vocal cords as a channel, like a radio. And he, with this very loud voice, came out with the channeling in 2014 that's pretty amazing. And we were there because we wanted to take him back. He was the only survivor or the only person left from the Giant Rock people. Here he is in Cornville. Here's David and here's Tom at the conference we did. By the way, this is all on video. The conference with all of this, with him talking and everything. And and our researchers, our current research, not only don't know anything about those days, they don't connect the dots. Here I am in their house filming. They don't connect the dots and realize that the real contact is being done by human type ETs. There's Robert. This is a young Robert Short. This is what he looked like when he was young, when he was with Van Tassel and those guys. So we took Robert Short back. There he is sitting.
Oh, if I could just add, we can't see what you're showing on the screen. Can anyone see what she's?
No, we can't. We can't see what you're seeing.
Oh, okay, good. Well, tell me, because I've got the share screen. Okay, share.
I'll let you
Okay,
work on it.
here we
So
go.
it's
Hang
okay.
on.
If I could just add, Paul, that when Robert would speak, he would be in an altered state. In the beginning, they called him John A. And then John A., the extraterrestrial, would speak through his vocal cords. And then after John A., then the name was, like you said, Colton would speak through him in a different
Yeah,
a different tone.
here he is. By the way, this is the George Hunt Williamson book done by Michelle Zerger with the shoes. And you see this guy standing where I was standing. Okay, there's Robert. I'm sorry. I'm glad you told me. There you guys are. You can see Tom. You can see David, and Lori was the one that was filming. This is their house in Cornville, Arizona. It's near Sedona, and they both died since then. So, and they had a library of all the original tapes, all the original Adamski tapes, all the original Van Tassel tapes. I don't even know what happened to them. I'm so sad because that stuff is history. It's not ufology. It was early contact. There is Robert when he was young. I know David and Tom. Did you ever see these pictures of him?
I haven't seen that photo.
Yeah, there's a drawing of him, and there he is. And here he is at Giant Rock, sitting there, and beginning. And here he is with me at the Integratron. So here we are. And this is the way we did it. This is David. And we had a guest, and I have pictures of her. We had the daughter of Tyrone Power, Romina Power. She's a big movie star in Italy. She was a friend of mine, and she was convinced that her daughter, who's disappeared, they're famous, Albano and Romina. She had a daughter who just disappeared, and she was very concerned because her daughter had contact when she was young. So she wanted to come and see this whole thing. Of course, Robert has, he has, the shades on. Here's Giant Rock the way it is today. These are our photos. There's the book, Out of the Stars. And here's the photo we were looking at before. This is Van Tassel with the white beard, is Van Tassel's son-in-law. And so he's the only one left, Van Tassel. We were in 2014. Everybody that you saw in that picture book has died. I wasn't able to get anybody except Shirley and Robert Short that were part of that group. So, and here's Romina Power. So I had to go and see who was left. And we basically staged it. I have the rest of the photos here. Let's see. This is very important because David took this photo. We all had our cameras out, all of us. And David took this photo of a UFO over Giant Rock. And here we are inside the Integratron, and there's Romina Power. And there is, what's his name, Robert Short, telling us what Van Tassel had in mind. There isn't one nail in this building. This building is all put together with, it's like a puzzle, one piece inside the other. And this is Romina. This is what she looks like. Tyrone Power had two girls, Taryn, that I had at my conference, that talked about Native Americans, and Romina. you know, they were really, really interested. Here's a picture of you, David, talking to Romina, because she had no background in ufology, but really wanted to know about the early days. And that's, you know, here's the integratron in the background. You really have to go back to the early days to understand what was going on. And you know, for us, it was an experience, because I mean, you can go to Contact in the Desert now, and I think this is Barbara Harris. She'll take you to the integratron. She'll take you to the way it used to be, show you the rock. But to get everybody's individual, and especially Robert Short, their individual stories from the source. I always say it has to be from the source. Is just amazing. Here's Robert Short.
You extended the hand. So you extended the hand. So good night.
When you made that statement, in other words, you were basically saying later on some other things will happen, which was I was turned over to this court on later, see? Because at that time I had slept through and I was sort of like financing, right? And so they turned me, and you know what they said?
You have to go back to the meeting. You have to talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's standing out in front of me, and I do this, put my hand out as I was shaking hands with him, and he put his hand where I would be, and then like this, you know, saying, with everything that has happened to you, everything that you're seeing, and what you're feeling is open to you. In other words, don't be afraid. You say, hey, the truth is, don't be afraid. Everything is all right. Everything's okay. You don't have to be afraid. Right? And I calmed down what I was doing. I began to calm down. Because I was shaking. I was thinking, I was sweating. I was scared to death.
Do that.
And anyway,
Some kind of ELF or mind control.
And then he started trying to walk away from me, and then he said,
Oh my gosh.
and then turn around or anything. Got to the edge of the old bed, silence. Then I see something moving in the hatch. The hatch shuts, okay? And instead of just going, it didn't do that. It was like, we got about 100 to 150 feet in the IS from me. And then it's just like that going. And then I thought to myself, yeah, sure, you just thought this all happened short, didn't you? You just think this all happened, just on the side. And I said, wait a minute. If there's footprints in the road bed coming and going, I said, then I know that it's real. They were there. But there was nothing. I didn't hear anything. So nothing walking through the desert. You wouldn't have thought that he would make coaching noise walking. No, nothing. Well, what did he do? Say? I don't know.
How did you do that? How do you leave no note?
October 10th, 1958.
Wow.
It wasn't very long after that I was out of that whole area.
What do you think was the main trigger that took you? So you were absolutely terrified, which is understandable. And he obviously did something to calm you down, but not only calm you down, you went that extra step to don't leave me behind. What was that?
Well, I went back to where I was staying with this lady, Doris Levesque, Jessica, she called her. So she was in contact with Ron Jessica, she called him. But anyway, he was also channel. So lady, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I tried to tell her about this, and I was literally, that she wouldn't tell me the picture. This is Robert, don't give me that kind of story. Don't tell me this kind of baloney. No, Robert, no. You just think you just. I said, I'm telling you this. She said, no, Robert, no, it didn't. No. But when I talked to her, she told her the truth. She said he was shaking visibly. He was very nervous, and he was
So you could hear her talking about, I have two audios where he talks about this encounter plus the message. And the message was that the world was in turmoil. And so I just stopped the share screen because I showed you all the photos that I wanted to show you, but I will end this, and then Tom, you can tell some of the memories you have, and David, but I will open the channeling because I think you should know what he said when he was blindfolded, and it's I can give this to people so that they can know it, but since the FBI told them they couldn't use the crystal radio. Crystal radios were made with quartz, by the way. We couldn't make them. I remember in 1960s. So just to know that the early, contactees were talking to these aliens on radio. And so were the W-56s in Italy, because they were talking to the W-56s were talking to the Italians, to Gaspera di Lama on radio. So it was normal. Until the intelligence community got involved. Anyway, this is Central Control calling Adi. Central Control calling Adi. Information to follow. We are standing by Adi. This is how this came out of his mouth by a very strong voice. I greet you in peace. My name is Corton. I am the representative for my system, Cortus, and I greet you in peace and love. We would say to each of you that you gather together and begun on a phase of activity that will link you all together as you carry out your mission, which is to raise the knowledge and input to your people on the planet and raise their consciousness and their understanding of what is taking place on your planet at the present time. Now, I'm going to give you a copy of this channeling too, because how did Corton know that the group that was there was going to hang out together? He says, link you all together in this channeling, link you all together. You see those words. How did he know that we were going to stay together? And he mentioned it was a mission. And he said, the understanding of what is taking place on your planet at the present time. Present time is 2014. Your planet is in, we would state, a state of unbalance. I love that word, unbalance, or as which has been blown about by an incorrect usage of energy together with the attitude that many of your people have towards one another. State of living together in which is to be creative understanding, and that begins to be an act of random, to carry out that which is the brotherhood of mankind on your planet, rather than separation and disparity. Okay, this is 2014. We didn't understand what was coming out of his mouth in 2014, but this is the state of the union now. Rather than separation and disparity between your people as they struggle with their lives and that which takes place about them. Note what is taking place on your planet even at the present time. We are watching conditions that which is the Commonwealth of Independent States headed by the Honorable Putin Vladimir, and that which is also of your European common market, and those who are in a position of power with same that wishes to, as it were, confront the situation rather than getting together at the table of peace and talking with one another, and brotherhoods and people of greater understanding and knowledge rather than disparity, and as it were, even anger. Thus, these things are taking place upon your planet together with the conditions of economic decline, even though they tell your people that all is well. That is not the continued honesty and truth that flows, which your people need to know. Things that your level as it be in a bad condition and need to be corrected by the proper attitudes, proper energy, and that which will bring your people together at conference tables, and also at person to person, recognizing that each have course, recognizing that each have problems and struggles, but nevertheless, these things can be adjusted, and there can be a way that peace can be uncovered or found and brought into action, so you can discontinue that which is the separation of people and the lack of discrimination among various people and nations, and work toward, as it were, that which is the brotherhood of man. And I'm reading from this, but I really want you to have this document, and I don't know if I can put it. And at the end, he says, he who has cast his light into the darkness, his light as a radiant one, Almighty God, Father of light. And we know that many of you have your own belief system, but believe in a greater creative source and can be brought in to signify that you are learning that which is within your own personal. That word is the word love. If you reverse that, you will have the first prefix of building on and going forward in your evolution, that is evolve, which is, the backwards writing of love. And thus, as it turns about that which has been what you call evil, that is the name of he who casts his light into the darkness and shines his light into the darkness. And then it says, Shalom, Shalom, I am Cortan. And then he added, Adonai Vasu Barakas. And this is coming out of the actual mouth of Robert Short, but his head is bent to one side, so his consciousness is not there. It happened in 2014. We're all shocked because he told us that he had had cancer and had not, he had not, done channeling. And so we're all honored because this is the last one he ever did. And I'm the one who physically brought him from Arizona, he and his wife and the person who was taking care of them. It was just amazing that we could do this and that we could share it with you now. I have put this out to all my, the people that follow me, that channeling, and they don't understand that in 2014, how very, very adapt it was. I mean, we weren't thinking of Vladimir Putin. We weren't even anywhere near there. I hope they let me, here's the document. It's in the chat so you can have it. You got in the chat, you have the links to the videos, plus you have the document. And it's really important that we go back to the old days. It's very, very important that we have a way of keeping this alive. I think it's so important that really we know this just it didn't happen yesterday. The whole group, the whole Space Brother group. Okay, stop this for a minute.
Later, I shot some films of unknown.
This is the last thing I'll show you, because when I do a class, which I do on human type aliens, what I do is show this video because it's the giant rock people talking themselves.
Objects, contactees, and UFO enthusiasts met regularly at the giant rock in the Californian desert, at the site where contactee George Van Tassel claimed to have met space people, and where he later built, allegedly under their instruction, the Integraton, a generator to reactivate human cells and to charge them with cosmic energy, as claimed by Van Tassel. One of the early contactees who spoke regularly on the giant rock conventions was Howard Menger. Menger presented what many UFO enthusiasts had long waited for: physical evidence and a message of deepness and beauty.
the story behind this is that he did not know how to play the piano, and then the extraterrestrials said, play the piano, and he went there and started playing.
I was inspired by a trip to New York State in the Catskills. I was on my way up there under some kind of control. It seemed almost like the wheel was moving by itself. I know it sounds strange, but it's true. And I reached an old cabin in the woods, and inside there were what I considered to be aliens. They were not from this world, as far as I could see. They're very angelic people, and they had all kinds of instruments in the cabin, all types of electronic, like what we'd call pianos and organs. And on the wall, they had a 1-inch thick 2x2 television screen, and they could move it anywhere they wanted to. I think we're getting that nowadays. We're getting into that now, 35, 40 years later. But I went in there and they showed me the instruments, the musical instruments, and I expressed the wish that I wished I could play the piano. And they said, well, maybe we can help you. I don't know what they did, but I could sit down after that visit to the cabin, after meeting these wonderful people, and I could play anything by ear. I think it all began when I was very young, approximately 10 years old, in the early 30s, when I went up into the woods, as I often did, and saw a beautiful lady on a rock with a stream going by. And I was really, really surprised, because first I thought it was one of the farm people, because there were farms nearby. But this woman wasn't dressed in a farm outfit. She was dressed in beautiful, flowing gown. And she had long blonde hair and gold-colored eyes. And she seemed to be waiting for me, as though she knew I'd be there. And when she spoke in perfect English and a beautiful voice. And I was only 10 years old, but I want to tell you, this was quite an experience. She was like an angel, like talking to an angel. And she seemed to know all about me. And she mentioned some things that would happen in the near future. She departed almost like a vision, just disappeared. And I went back home. I didn't talk about it for weeks. Not even to my brother, who often went up in the woods with me. We saw discs in the sky, my brother and I, during that period, that same period. And as time went on, some of the things that she had predicted were coming true. They continued from the girl on the rock right on up to the very significant ones in 1956, when the craft came in. These huge 40 to 50-foot craft, and they carried these beautiful angelic aliens. And of course, at first, I wasn't ready for any of this. No cameras, no recording equipment, no witnesses. But after that, I prepared myself with cameras, witnesses. I had witnesses. I was taking a movie on one incident in 1956 in High Bridge, New Jersey, where a craft was coming in. It's in my new book, the High Bridge incident. The pictures are in there. And the craft is coming in, and I'm taking a colored movie, 8mm movie of this. I have several witnesses from the local area, and also a federal agent from the Bureau in Newark, New Jersey, was standing right next to me. I was filming a craft coming in. The door opened when it landed, and two men got out. One went to the left, one went to the right, and then a beautiful lady got out. But she had a type of spacesuit on. And she walked toward me, and when she got about 25 or 30 feet from me, she didn't say a word. And she touched something shiny on her belt. And that shiny thing got bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally enveloped her whole body to where I could see her body as a light form. And then it disappeared. And I was really surprised. I yelled back at the craft. I said, "Where did she go? Where is she?" And they yelled back in perfect Oxford English, "She's here with us in the ship." So evidently.
So you can experience, and it's very much like Robert Short's. Now I'm going to give you that link so that we don't all have to watch it again. I'm going to give it to you in the chat, but that is what was happening to these people. And in 2014, I'm so glad we were able to get that crew together. By the way, in the channeling, I don't know, they said we would stay together as a group, and we did. Tom and even today, we're in 2026 and we're together and we're talking about it. And we were able to go back to the videos that we could find of Daniel Fry and Howard Menger. Howard Menger was at Giant Rock telling the truth. Now, a couple of things. The fact he had the FBI with him, with that colored movie, and the fact that Robert Short told me the FBI were the ones that told him they couldn't use the radios anymore, meant that disclosure has happened. Come on, the FBI, they know this is happening. They're watching the craft come in. They're listening to the voices of the aliens. And what are we doing today in 2026 saying they don't exist? And in the case of Howard Menger, he has photos of these people because he took black and white photos. So what you're getting is, yes, we're concentrating on Robert Short and Shirley Short, God bless them, but those were the only people we could reach because everybody else had died. If I'd known about this in 1970s, I was working at 79. I think Howard Menger just died, like 10 years after, so 89. I could have talked to him. I would have loved it. I could have talked to these people. Nobody in our field considers them important. And that is such, and these, I think it's because all the attention went on the abduction phenomenon and everybody being abducted. In the 1950s and 60s, there wasn't this. I think somebody has manipulated the narrative. So in order to look at these kinds of messages, and by the way, the Ricardo Gonzalez messages and the South American messages are very much like this. They're very much like this. Our ecology, watch out. We got to come to the table. It better be one species. We will destroy the earth. All of these in Latin America is where it's at today. So that's why I had to go to Latin America. And so I'll leave the last words. David, things that you remember. I mean, you can talk about the fact that my phone texted you 17 times and I did not call you 17 times when we were doing this story.
Yes, no, a lot of paranormal activity. I just want to say when we were in the Integratron, when Tom, Paul, and I were in there, we did a sound bowl therapy. And when we came out with Robert Short, we had an amazing cloud, this ionized clouds, and these crafts that were all. I got Robert Short circled all these for me. These crafts that were there, they were trying to make this cross to look like this that Robert sent me. Is like these wings. It would almost look like a Starship Enterprise. And Robert said, David, the above symbol is what our sources were doing with ionized clouds and ionized clouds and wings. So very, very interesting. This was signed by Robert. He sent this to me after he sent me those pictures. But when Tom and I were also watching Robert Short channel with out near the Big Rock, we both saw paranormal activity around Robert Short. Tom saw electrical field over his head, and I saw electrical activity falling off his elbows. And when Robert was finished, I said, Robert, Tom and I saw electrical activity something was like falling off your elbows. What was it? And he said it's ectoplasm. And I've never heard of ectoplasm before. Um, it was very, very, very cool. Tom, you were kind of blown away too when you saw that force field around his head, right?
Oh, yes.
So it was definitely amazing. Yeah. So that was really cool. And I just want to kind of summed up a few facts here after the channeling. And basically, in a nutshell, Robert Short is channeling. He's urging humanity to end division. Like Paula says, that's what's happening right now. There's so much division. There's and reject fear and control and embrace love and cooperation and consciously evolve toward a more unified balance and peaceful world. We need that right now, and we are just so separated. It is so sad. Whatever political side you're on, we all need to come together, and we need more love and a lot more balance in our world because it's very sad what's happening. Tom, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll just add the electrical field thing that we saw. I do recall that there was like an ash that we saw. It was the ectoplasm. It was literally like ash, but it was a very different kind of ash than I'd ever seen. I want to thank Paula too for covering this. I think she did a really good job of connecting the dots. And what she's trying to show us here really is the golden age of UFO contact. This is the golden age. It was an era where every man was a contactee. And I think that's important for us today because I can tell you that as we concentrate on that, we too can have contact. So I just want to, I'll just add one thing, one little side note about this experience in 2014. I was amazed at how natural and how at ease everyone was at that time, particularly Robert and his wife Shirley. I was standing beside Giant Rock, looking back over the area that had at one time been this airfield. And Robert turned to me and he said, "You know, I was standing right here on one occasion when Van Tassel, when a craft came down, landed. It was somewhat elevated off the ground and landed on some sort of legs or pods. A door opened, and Van Tassel had been in his Jeep, drove right over, drove up the incline, went inside, and the thing closed." I mean, he spoke about that just as naturally as could be. It was just an event, and I always appreciated his candid nature. He was a dear soul. He was a good man.
Well, for me, it's so emotional. And you guys being with me are testimony to how field research should be done. It can't be that we do something from a book. It has to be that we have to go on the location. We wouldn't have seen the Quartz Mountain if we hadn't gone on location. Quartz is an amplifier. So it's normal that, it's attracting everything. And we wouldn't have gotten the individual stories if we hadn't got, and just like when we went to South America, Tom, we got all the details of the South American contactees and how they live, and for them it's normal. I don't know how to resuscitate the 1950s and 60s and the human type ET movement. I would love to do some kind of documentary on all this stuff because we have the photos, we have the channeling, we have all of this. Too late, but we have it, whatever we have, and it would give the outside world a picture of contact that is much more peaceful than what we're getting now with them being a threat. I mean, the only thing that gets attention is if we go and use the national security card in Washington, D.C. for the ETs being a possible threat. Well, the reason why you don't have Giant Rock anymore and the reason why they didn't go back to California is because all they were doing was getting shot down and the technology was being used. So you think they're going to hang around there very long? So That's why they went to the Space Brother movement, the Brotherhood of Man, or whatever you want to call it, went to South America and landed in Bolivia and Colombia, Chile, the Atacama Desert, Peru, and so forth. So I want to, anything else you guys want to add? Because it was very historical. I'm so grateful to you both.
Tom and I would like to do a reunion to a Giant Rock. We should film something there and share all this important information, Paula, because like you said, this is the backbone of ufology, and a lot of people don't know where it started and how it started. So I think that we need to take this information because there's so much more, folks, that we can talk about Giant Rock. I mean, we have just little time here, but there's a lot that's involved here, and it's all about consciousness, like Tom mentioned earlier, raising our consciousness so we can live in harmony and make more contact with our extraterrestrial friends.
And I would add to this too. It's such a broad, sweeping period that we're talking about here, and the history alone, knowing Robert's involvement at Giant Rock with Van Tassel, knowing Van Tassel's history at Giant Rock and how it began in 1950. And he had his first contact with Solganda in 52. And it was about that time that Robert Short got involved. And later, Robert received a transmission, and Van Tassel, there was some disagreement and they kind of split off. And I think the history here is really important because even though Robert split away from the Giant Rock forum and kind of went his own way, he did continue to maintain this contact, and I'm very grateful that he did. But the history alone is the detail is amazing.
Okay, well, I hope we gave you some inkling of those days, and it's very sadly we can't do any more because there's nobody around. You could, and all I can think of is when we did put Robert in the chair there to do the channeling that you've got in the chat. David took pictures of UFOs, so they knew we were there. So, and Tom and I had been there. Tom, do you remember we went and meditated there with those anti-gravity chairs? So we've been back several times without a lot of people around. And I think that it's still a very active place apart from the Quartz Hill. I think it's still a very active place. So, I hope that this is a little bit of education of the old days, and there's just so much more.